Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind The Country Chic Cottage. xTool's newest laser is the xTool F1 Lite. So you might have heard of the xTool F1 and I reviewed the xTool F1 Ultra very recently on this YouTube channel. So now we have the xTool F1 Lite. So we're going to take a look at unboxing this, what is included, how do you set it up, how do you use it, what does it do? We're going to take a look at all of that within this video. At the very end of this video, I will briefly compare the three models, but I do have another full video coming for you where I will compare all three. So if you are struggling as to which of the F1 models you should pick, then be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss that video. So this is the xTool F1 Lite. The xTool F1 Lite is a 10 watt diode laser. So it is a blue light laser. There is no infrared laser in here. So that makes it less expensive than the other F1 models. And it is still super small, portable. It even has a handle at the top. So very, very portable for you to take just about anywhere. So you've been looking for a powerful laser to take with you to craft fairs to personalize things. This might just be the option for you. Now, before we get started on anything laser, we always need to talk about laser safety. So with any laser, you do want to watch out for fire hazards. Keep a fire blanket and or fire extinguisher on hand at all times. Now the F1 Lite does come with a sensor and it will stop if it detects any fire inside. So that is one safety feature of the machine itself. You also want to keep this closed anytime you're operating the laser to protect your eyes. If for some reason you're using it on something where you can't keep this closed, they do make laser safety glasses and I will link to a pair that will work with this in the description below this video. So now we have our fire protection, we have protected our eyes. Now the other thing you need to watch for is what you put in this laser to cut and or engrave. Some materials can be hazardous to cut and engrave with a laser. I do have a full video on laser safety and I will link to that in the description below this video, so be sure to head there. You also always want to ventilate any laser while you're cutting it. You can ventilate out a window, or this one has an optional air filter accessory that you could add where you could ventilate into a filter as well to use indoors in those months where you don't want to open a window. So now that we've talked about all that, let's take a look at what comes in the box and how to set this up. With the xTool F1 Lite, you will get a user manual, then you'll get power cable, USB cable, you'll get your prism working panel that you can put inside. You also get a panel with holes that will go inside, as well as an L-shaped positioning piece that will work with this, and we'll take a look at that when we make a project. Lint-free cloth, a key, some grease, as well as the tube that you need to vent out a window or to connect to an optional air filter accessory, and you get a material pack to try your laser out. For setup, you do want to remove all packaging material, and some of the things that come with the laser are actually inside the laser, so be sure to lift it up and remove all of that. And then to set it up, we're going to install a key. Now, your laser comes with two keys, you just need one. Then you'll add the power cable, connect the hose for your fumes, and you'll run the other side of this hose out a window or attach it to an optional air filter accessory. Then in order to set this up, you do want to make sure that your emergency stop is pulled out. So twist and make sure it's pulled out all the way. When it's operating, you can always press this to stop the laser, but you always want to make sure it's pulled out during operation. Inside, you want to make sure there's a protector on the lens. You want to make sure to remove that. You can add the USB cable to the side, and this is just a one-time connection until you hook up the Wi-Fi. And it will come with nothing installed in this area. You would do this if you were setting this on top of something large and wanted it to go through this area. Or if you were using it on something that wasn't flat and you were going to hold it up against something, say at an angle. However, most of the time you're going to be using this for small things, and you would just add this plate inside of here for engraving. And you can use this piece to screw into literally any of these holes in order to locate things. So that would allow you to locate things in the same spot over and over again. Now, if I was going to cut using this machine, I would instead add this, and you can just set it inside, and that lifts the material up and allows you to cut through it. So now that we have this machine set up, it is time to make a few projects, and I'm going to make a wide variety of projects for you so you can get an idea just how this laser works. So let's get started with making a few projects with this laser. Now I do want to say that all of the footage within the making portion of this video will be at real time, because this laser is so fast and I just want to show you just how fast it is. So I will keep the footage at real time so you can actually watch the laser operate. So let's take a look at a few different projects. Okay, I'm in xTool Creative Space, and first of all I want to talk about focusing the laser. So I am going to put just a leather patch inside of the laser, and that's the first project I'm going to do. The first thing we need to do is to focus this laser. A couple different ways you can do that. If I knew exactly the thickness of this coaster, let's say it was 1 inch thick exactly, I could put that in the thickness box. The laser would then focus itself and adjust to that position. However, you can also manually focus the laser by using the knob on the side, and you can move the laser up and down. And what you're looking for is for the blue and the red dot to come together. Once they are completely overlapping, the laser is then focused. It will then tell you on the screen what the measurement is, and you can probably judge by that whether or not it's right. And I feel like this is a very accurate measurement for this very thin leather patch. So now I am ready to engrave on this. For this project, I'm going to upload an image. I'll just go ahead and click upload and find the file on my computer. Then I can size it to approximately fit this patch. And then I'm going to click the framing button, and we can actually see the light on the patch here. And we can see that it does need to be bigger, and it probably needs to move. So I can either move it on the screen, or I can literally move the patch to where that file is centered. So you can do either way in order to get the correct location. What I'm doing here is a rectangular framing. You could also do an outline framing, so I can pick that from my framing settings and frame as an outline, and then you can see exactly where it's going to engrave with an outline on the laser itself. You can do either one and decide which one works best for you, and then once you have it located, you are ready to process this. Now, to process this, I went ahead and picked my material earlier, but you would search for your material, and I just searched for leather, and I picked from the recommended versions a black top grain leather, but you can definitely scroll through these and decide which one would work for whatever you're engraving. And then for the engraving, this picks from the recommended settings in xTool Creative Space. Now you could definitely change these up if you feel like you need to, but I generally find that the xTool recommendations work pretty well. So now that I have this at engraving and I have it located correctly, we can go ahead and close the shield. Now you always want to close the shield when you're operating the laser, or you can wear laser safety glasses if you need to, and I will link to the glasses that I use in the description below this video. Then I can go ahead and click process. And it will only take 16 seconds to process this leather patch, which is amazing. I love how fast it is to process with this machine. This is also the button that you will push to start the machine. You just press it once with a short press in order to start the process. A long press will stop the process at any point in time. Once it's done processing, we can lift this up, and this did an amazing job at engraving this leather patch. So I'm going to move on and do some other projects with this laser. Next, I'm going to try a cut and engrave on wood. So I am going to add this plate in order to hold that wood up. Then I'm going to add the wood inside. And within xTool Creative Space, I went ahead and added a circle, but that same engraved design. And I went ahead and picked 3mm plywood as my material. Now I'm just gonna manually focus this because it is raised up. We will need to raise that laser to focus. And then I can go ahead and click framing. And I can see where this is. Now, in order to save some material, I could actually move this around. Once I close this, you still want the material to be steady, so do look out for that. But otherwise, I can move this around to where I don't waste as much material. Go ahead and click Stop Framing. Now I have the cut settings and the engraving settings. So now I have it cutting the circle, engraving the book detail, and I have everything focused and ready, so I can go ahead and click process. This will take me 58 seconds to both cut and engrave this, which is extremely fast. So let's go ahead and start this up and see what the process looks like. Once that's done, you can go ahead and lift this up. And this has been cut and engraved. Now with this type of laser, I do get more charring on the cut marks than usual, but we will take a look at that in the results section of this video. Now I'm going to rapidly engrave a few more things so I can show you results on a wide range of materials at the end of this video. Each material is roughly the same, where you just pick your design, focus, pick the material, and engrave and or cut the material itself. So now let's take a look at the results of some of these materials. So first we have that leather patch, and this turned out amazing. I love the engraving on this surface. Then I moved on to cutting and engraving on wood, and I do feel like the settings could have been better on the wood, which I could definitely turn that up. But I always get char marks around the outside edge with this style of laser. I feel like with cutting on wood, you almost always get some char marks with a galvo laser. You can really play with the settings and maybe reduce this some, but I do want you to be aware of that. Then for my other projects, I engraved on some coated metal. So this metal has a coating, and what I'm basically doing is removing the coating. This would be similar to something that you would do with, say, a tumbler. If you added the rotary accessory to this machine, you could remove the coating from those tumblers. Then I engraved some slate. Now the engraving on slate is basically removing the top coating on this machine, but I do think it is a very cool project and something that is great for gifts. Then finally I engraved some black acrylic just to give you an idea of what this would do on acrylic as well. It will engrave and cut certain acrylics. You just have to be careful with things being, say, clear acrylic would not work with this machine because it only has a diode laser. So with those projects, definitely my favorite is engraving with this machine. So I do feel like engraving is the strong point of the F1 product line. Now, can you cut with this? Yes, you can. Now, a full list of materials that you can both engrave and cut with the F1 Lite is available on the xTool website, and I do link to that in the description below this video. So you can head there for a full list. What I have done for my demo is just a very small fraction of what you could do with this machine. I just wanted to give you some idea of things you could do, but you could definitely check out the website and make sure exactly what you want to make is actually able to be produced by this machine. Because this machine is a diode or blue light laser, it can have trouble with things that are blue light colors, and especially things that are clear. You're not going to be able to cut or engrave things like clear acrylic. So do be aware of that with any diode laser that you're looking at. So now the pros and the cons of the F1 Lite and would I recommend it? The pros are definitely number one, the size. This amazing small size with the handle on top makes this the perfect machine to take to like craft fairs in order to personalize things on site. Now I showed you that bottom tray was removable, but we didn't talk a whole lot about it. And what it shows within the manual that you get is that you could remove the bottom tray and you could put something underneath here, like something large, like even I wanted to engrave something on this tabletop, I could do that. And I could also use the handle and lift it up and put it on a surface that, let's say, was angled, and I could hold it up there and let the machine do its work. So that makes it extremely versatile in my opinion, and more versatile than a lot of the larger machines. The handle and the fact that you can remove that and do things that are larger but with that removed. It also has a ton of accessories that you can get with it that opens up even more options. So I talked about the air filter accessory, so you would not have to vent out a window. There's also a rotary attachment so you can engrave things like tumblers. There's also a conveyor-like system where you can do multiples of things within a conveyor or things that are larger. And then finally, I saw that it had a carrying case, so you could fit the laser and everything inside of a carrying case, and I thought that was a brilliant idea, so I did want to mention that here as well. And then with the 10-watt diode, you're able to cut up to like 8 millimeters thick when you're talking about something like wood. So that is very thick for such a small machine. So like mini but mighty is what I kind of like to say with this machine. So I do think that you'll be extremely impressed with the power that you get with this machine, even though it's in such a small package. And then as you saw, it is extremely easy to use. Now, I showed you on the desktop version, but xTool also has an app for your phone. So you could operate this with your phone as well. So when you're talking about engraving things on the go, that might be an option you want to look into as well, is using that app for your phone, since this is such a small portable machine. As always, I like the safety features. I like that it closes. I like that it has the emergency stop. I like the fire hazard protection. I really do feel like this machine is a great machine, but there are always cons with any laser. So I mentioned that it is a diode laser, so you might have trouble with things like clear acrylic or some light colors and things like that, as with any diode machine. Now, it is a very powerful diode laser, so you might not have as much trouble, but definitely clear materials are not going to work with any diode laser. The working area itself, so the area inside, is only 4.53 inches by 4.53 inches. So it is a very small working area. Now, I did mention some things that get around that, as far as removing that plate and just putting it on something larger. However, you would need to do those hacks in order to get around it. Now, this is a galvo style laser instead of a gantry style laser, so the laser head itself does not move. The laser beams themselves move. That means that you can get down inside of certain objects. So while you may be limited on size, it is often a little bit more versatile with what you can actually do with this machine. And then with the F1 Lite, you don't get an infrared head. There is only a diode laser head inside this machine. So that means when we're talking about engraving metal, you would need to do things like coated metal, like I showed in this video, or maybe some stainless steel metals. Other types of metal would need an infrared in order to actually engrave in them. And I do have a full video on engraving metal and the differences between the different types of engraving, and I will link to that in the description below this video. However, be aware that with the Lite, you do not get the infrared head, so it does limit you on the metals that you're actually able to engrave with this machine. Now, besides those cons, I really think this is a great machine. Now, who is this for? I really feel like this is for someone that wants to engrave materials, especially on the go with a small size and the handle. It's also for those of you that are on a budget and want to try this type of laser. I feel like this type of laser is getting more popular, and of course, you might want to try it for yourself, and you might not be able to afford the larger xTool F1 Ultra. So the xTool F1 Lite might just be the machine for you. So be sure to take a look at their website at all the materials it can do, and make sure that aligns with what you're looking to do either in your craft room or with your craft business. Now, as far as like business versus craft room, this is the perfect size for a craft room. That is why I'm doing this video in this space in front of my dream box, because this little laser will literally fit anywhere within this space. So if you have a small space and have been wanting to try out a laser, this probably is the laser that you want to look at. So look at it, study it, make sure it does everything you want to do, and then give it a try for yourself. Now, if you have any questions about the xTool F1 Lite or something else that you would like to see me make with it, drop down in the comment section and leave me a comment. If you liked this video and it helped you, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, head on over to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. I have videos just like this one every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of those. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.